Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of West Bend Planning Commission meeting for June 1st. Note that we do have a quorum with Commissioner Gannon excused and Commissioner Schmidt absent. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll note that we have about 7 items on our agenda, the first being approval of the minutes, the Plan Commission regular meeting minutes for May 4th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Model and STARAL. Any questions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to number 4, development proposals, A, conditional use permits, and number 1, CU-21-002, public hearing for request for conditional use permit to allow a microblading business, permanent makeup, paramedical tattoos, and areola reconstruction at 110 South 5th Avenue within the B2 Central Business District. The applicant is Carrie Miller of Custom Eyes by Carrie, LLC, and the agent is Elizabeth Rose of Cream City Avenue Rentals, LLC. We'll start off with a presentation by our Business and Development Planner, Jim REINKE. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Carrie Miller has submitted a conditional use application to operate a microblading and permanent makeup, along with medical tattoos and areola reconstruction services at 110 South 5th Avenue. She's actually relocating from another place from downtown into a larger tenant slot here. The property is Zone B2, Central Business District, this is permitted as a conditional use with approval from Plan Commission. She's included an operations letter describing the proposed business operations, which include the hours of operations from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. At this time, she'll be the only person providing services. She does anticipate growth, with hoping to have an additional 1 to 2 people within the next 3 years. She's anticipating approximately 20 customers a month right now, with anticipation of growth to 80 per month. She is actually expanding her services from just the microblading to also include the paramedical tattooing and the areola reconstruction. Privacy screenings will be used to provide privacy for the customers that are receiving these services. Tattoo and body piercing is licensed by the state of Wisconsin, so she is required to have a license from the state prior to operations. All property owners within 200 feet were notified of the public hearing, and staff received no inquiries or comments regarding the services provided. Staff would recommend approval with the listed conditions.
Thanks so much. And with that, we'll open up the public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up. Otherwise, we'll look for a motion to end the public hearing. Thank you, DOLNICK and FLEISCHMAN. All those in favor of any of the public hearings, settle by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Now we'll open up to the commission if there's any questions for Jim. Thank you. Is there a second? Okay. FLEISCHMAN and Newman. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of approval with the conditions, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and that passes. Moving on to B, zoning amendments. Number 1, amending Chapter 17, zoning, public hearing regarding changing the requirements on the sign ordinance in single-family and two-family residential driveways for certificate of occupancy by the Department of Development for the City of West Bend. The applicant is us, and the agent is the same. Jim.
Thanks. This is just a follow-up from the May meeting where staff presented the proposed amendments to 17.38, 17.47, and 17.48, which is driveways and then also signs and urban design. So again, these were the same proposal as what we had discussions on. This is just the formality to get the recommendation from the Plan Commission to the Common Council for final action by the Common Council.
Sounds good. Once again, this is a public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, feel free to come on up.
Second.
Thank you, FLEISCHMAN and Model. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any questions for Jim on this item from the commission? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to recommend approval to council.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, all those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and that passes. Moving on to C, site plans. Number 1, SP-21-002, public hearing for a site plan request for the consideration to allow an oversized LED electronic message center for the monument sign, along with other sign design exceptions for the sign located approximately 226 east of the intersection of Indiana Avenue and East Washington Street by Wisconsin Sign. The applicant is Robert Jewell of Wisconsin Sign. The agent is Scott Schmidt of Washington County. We're going to flip this a little bit. We're going to start with a public hearing because I believe there's some people who would like to speak on that, and then we'll carry it over to Jim and the commission for discussion. So I'll open up the public hearing if there's anybody who would like to speak. Feel free to state your name and address for us.
Sure. My name is Robert Jewell. I am the contractor for the proposed project. I live at 114 East Prospect Street in the city of Hartford, Wisconsin.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the council, letting me speak. I really just came to answer any potential questions that any of you might have about the project.
Sounds good. Well, at this point, we can end the public hearing, but if we have any questions throughout this item, I'll feel free to bring you back up. So.
Sure, okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Is there any other discussion for the public hearing? If not, we'll look for a motion to end.
Motion to end the public hearing.
Thank you, Model and Dolnick. All those in favor of ending the public hearing, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll kick it over to Jim to give us an overview. Take it away.
Thank you. Wisconsin Community Signs has submitted a request for multiple exceptions for the zoning code under signs and for urban design. The proposal is for an off-premise sign containing a large electronics message center to be located approximately 226 feet east of the intersection of North Indiana Avenue and East Washington at 234 East Washington Street. This happens to be the Washington County grounds where the courthouse is. The land is proposed to be on the county grounds, and the county board has approved a lease agreement with Wisconsin Community Signs for the use of the lands for the electronic message center. Chapter 1748-6 of the sign code in the zoning code regulates off-premise signs. Off-premise signs are restricted to 32 square feet. The applicant for Wisconsin Community Signs on behalf of the Washington County is requesting that they're requesting an exception for that 32 square feet for the sign proposal of a 652.5 square foot sign. This definitely far exceeds the 32 square feet, but the applicant is requesting an exception for that in accordance with 1748 of the sign code, where the Plan Commission may modify the sign restrictions within 1748 of the sign code to overcome constraints due to poor visibility, excessive setbacks, or other physical constraints. The applicant is also requesting a sign exception for the electronic message center. Currently, the code permits 16 square feet with a total of 32 square feet for the entire sign for both sides. The developer is requesting an exception for that for a 200 square foot electronic message center. Again, far exceeding the minimum or the maximum requirements that we do have. The third exception that they're asking for is under 1747 42, which permits the maximum sign height of 22 feet. In this case, they're asking for the maximum sign height to be 22.5 feet. This would be an urban design exception from the commission to permit that at 22.5 feet versus the 22 feet that is permitted. Given the visibility of the sign and the location and the neighboring residential lots to the west of the sign location, an auto dimming feature would typically be normal and be utilized to minimize the impact of glare on this. The proposal that we had did not mention anything about an auto dimming feature. So staff would recommend, if anything, that auto dimming be utilized in that, for the EMC portion. A narrative was also submitted by the applicant, explaining the request for the sign submittal. The main function of the sign is to be utilized as a community sign for advertising and supporting local businesses other than those that were located on the county site. So that's the premise of the off-premise sign. We did send out a public notice. We mailed to the people that were adjacent to Indiana Avenue where the sign would be visible from. And staff received no inquiries from that, but we have received other inquiries, and the commission has received that letter from another owner throughout, located in the city with concerns pertaining to the sign proposal. Staff has reviewed this request and found no justification for the sign exceptions for the overall size sign for the off-premise sign, since there are no constraints for visibility or adverse grades or exceptional setbacks for that. Staff also feels that there's no exceptional circumstance or site constraints to justify the 652 square foot sign, the total sign square footage, along with a 200 square foot electronic message center. And also does not see a need or a justification for the height to exceed the 22 foot that's permitted by code. Staff feels that the grades are relatively flat throughout this property. The sign is within 10 feet of the property line, and there are no obstructions or anything that would preclude the sign to be that large or needed to be that large. So staff would recommend denial of the exceptions.
Thanks, Jim. I did just want to start quick with our discussion. So even acknowledging the approval to council for sign changes that we did, that maximum square footage it shows 48, correct? I know you had mentioned 32 because that's what it is right now. But if the change were to go ahead in council, that would still only be 48 square feet, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the current code is 32,
Yep.
or I should say 16 and 32. The new proposal that we just reviewed earlier takes it up to 24 and 48.
And then I was going to ask you, which I think you kind of did, define an off-premise sign. It's really just media use that's contrary to the location. Is that a simple
off-premise signs
definition?
are defined as the content that is not typically the sign is associated with the business and it's advertising
Yep.
the business. This is actually off-premise where it's advertising other businesses that are solely outside of the county
Got it.
or not related to the county
Thank you.
uses.
Anybody else from the commission who has questions or comments? Oh, sure, Dolnick and then STARAL.
I guess I didn't realize, so the proposal is solely for commercial purposes? They're not going to use the sign to announce county, like there's a county meeting tonight, or join the United Way, or, Mr. Jewell, go ahead. Why don't you step up?
Yeah, if you don't mind coming up.
I think I can answer that question. Yes, we do donate 10% of the advertising time back for charities, local events. I even offered it to the city of West Bend as well. Right now, the county has offered us a licensing agreement, and it's very similar to what we're doing in the city of Hartford right now. We have a sign very, very similar to this one in Hartford for the last 3 years. The sign has done tremendously well. We've helped out numerous small businesses, and the main focus behind this really is to help the small business owners, give them affordable advertising. I've been in the sign business for almost 30 years now, and that's really the goal, is to help, number one, the small businesses, number two, the county, to promote all of their special events. Every event they have in the county or the city can be on that sign. So I'm not sure why that wasn't in the report, but it's definitely in our, it's in the licensing agreement.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jewell.
Sure.
I just,
We're good, Bob.
You're good? Okay.
it's not, it's the I was
Oh,
just
you have
going to say,
another
the
question?
concept is, I don't have a problem with the concept, but the sign, the size is just beyond anything that I could vote for.
Thanks, Jed.
So, I own the duplex, actually, right across the street in Indiana and Washington, and my renters don't have a problem with the sign, I don't, but why can't we just have the sign like down at Regner Park? The entrance there, that size, is that an issue? Why does it have to be?
No, we could, we could certainly explore, going smaller.
Right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You drive by down Main Street, Regner Park, you can see everything going on there. I don't know why we have to go bigger. Again, my tenants don't have a problem with going bigger.
Sure.
But I don't know why we have to change going to that size, I guess.
Some perspective, how big is that sign, the Regner one?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I would guess probably 32 square feet maybe. I'm
Right.
not 100% sure.
Okay.
And it
I'd
does
have
the
to-
job. I mean, it really does. You drive by Regner Park, you see what's going on at the park, and, if we could copy that size out at the county facility there, I think that'd be fine.
No, we could certainly entertain going smaller. The problem with going with a 4x8, 32 square foot sign, though, is it's going to be very hard to entice, businesses to go on it because it is a little bit smaller than normal. And you are talking about a really, really large area. So we understand, I completely understand that this is a larger than, normal sign project. However, to get the local businesses interested and excited, outdoor billboards, they are large. They are, it's a big form of media, and we can certainly, by all means, we can certainly dim the sign. We've done it at Hartford. We can have the sign go, I have our sign in Hartford go black from midnight to 4 a.m. Nothing's on it. It just goes black. The technology with these signs is amazing. You can go higher, you can go lower contrast, you can do whatever you want, with it. So I just don't know that, if I'm going to be restricted to a 4x8 sign, I don't know that I could really even consider that, only because I don't know that I could get an advertiser to buy onto it, if you understand that. So.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure. Any other questions?
Signs are an issue in West Bend, so you open it up to you, and Quick Trip's gonna do what? What do they want?
Well, no, I completely understand what you're saying, and this is I gotta say, this is a very unique situation that, number one, we're able to find a piece of land like that is almost free of any obstruction. That's always a problem when you're building signs. Number two, the county, 17-0, unanimous vote. I got everybody excited about it, everybody, wanting to, get on board with it. But I completely understand from a city perspective, you have sign ordinances. I understand that. This is a different project by all means, but we've had tremendous success in the city of Hartford. I've had business owners come up to me, and thank me for giving them something that's affordable for their business. So we've done great things with the charities, with non-for-profits. So overall, the sign has been a huge success in the city of Hartford. So.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Yeah, you mentioned there are city ordinances, and I'm kind of new to all this, but is there, if we suggested that you scale the size of the sign way down, like for example to what our ordinance is, would you going out and doing some research and finding out if you could find businesses to buy into that? Would that?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up, because that was in the back of my mind. We've done a fair amount of due diligence already. I have personally. I've called probably a dozen to a dozen and a half businesses. Just a simple survey, would you support a digital sign for your business? Overwhelmingly in favor of it, yes. And when I told them what the pricing would be, they even got more excited. Outdoor billboards are extremely expensive to get on. like the interstate boards you might see when you're driving along. So again, this was a lot of thought went into this. This was, you know, thinking about it, how can we make it affordable to help the local businesses? That's how I sold it to the city of Hartford, so. Hoping I can sell it to you guys.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a little concern about the size too. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that intersection is controlled with the crossing guard at school.
That I'm not sure, nobody has told me that, but,
Fair Park School, so.
But I think
okay.
that's a crossing guard.
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about adding a distraction with a crossing guard.
Sure. Yeah, I was totally unaware of that. The county did not mention that to me at all, or the city, so I'm not sure how to answer that.
Anything else, Bernie? No. Okay. Yep, go ahead, Sarah.
I agree with the city's justification on why this should be denied. It is nowhere near our code. I also am concerned, as Mike said, about opening it up to electronic billboards in the city, especially on busy corners like that. So I will be voting against it.
Thank you.
And I'm not totally against it, but I think we should stay within the realm of the city's size. Then I'm okay with that. But I don't want, this is almost double size, right, Jim?
This is
Like 5 times.
this is like
Oh, yeah,
overall.
more than
It's,
that. Okay, I'm way off,
The overall
okay.
sign is
Yes.
5 times
So
or
that's
3
why-
times.
650,
I mean,
652,
If
right?
he stretches it down to what our regulations are, I'm all cool with it, but I don't want 5 times the size.
So as I alluded to, our ordinances will most likely change upon council approval to that 48 square footage. So that's really what we'd be talking about at this point.
Okay, yeah, I mean, so the digital message centers themselves are like 200 square feet. So I think so the overall square footage is what you're speaking about, just so I'm understanding it, because the signs themselves are like 200 square feet.
Yeah, the EMCs are 200. It's a 10 by 20, 200 square feet.
So that's 400 square feet.
That's
so.
only one, right? That's one side, and it's a 2-sided sign, so that'll be a total of 400 square feet. Where
Is that plus everything else around it?
no, that once you get everything else around it, then we're up to
what I mean, yeah.
652
Okay.
square feet.
I just wanted to understand that. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, and I guess that the commission and those who know me personally know I'm pretty libertarian on these kind of things, but yeah, I have no problem with the purpose of the sign and having a community sign like this and what you're using it for. But I agree. I think the size right now is it's astronomical. So I don't know if you're in favor of changing this up and coming back to us with some ideas.
Sure.
As, Commissioner Model suggested that might not be a bad idea.
Absolutely. I mean, I could take it back to my, to my guys, and yeah, I would come back gladly.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So.
Make a motion to deny the proposal as it sits?
Second?
Would we want to deny or would we want to table? Which, if we want to see it to come back.
I would recommend acting on it as proposed.
Okay.
He can bring back whatever he
Okay.
wants to on it.
Got it. All right. So I had a motion, second. Thank you. Is there any other comments, questions from the commission? Seeing none, all those in favor of denying as presented, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yep. Follow up with us. We'll be in touch soon. All right. And we'll move to number 2, SP-20-012, site plan for an industrial storage facility at 2130 West Decorah Road by LEI Properties. The applicant is Marty Lowitz of LEI Properties, LLC. The agent is Anna Burns of Brookwater Group. Jim.
Thank you. The Plan Commission originally deferred action on this item back in September of 2020. The developer has revised the site plan and is seeking approval of the first phase, which would consist of the 10,624 square foot industrial building and some storage bins located southwest of that building. A separate approval will be required by Plan Commission for the future phases to the west of the development. Access to this development will be from Decorah Road. The driveway configuration will need to be revised to meet city standards for driveway flares versus the radiuses that are shown. Shared driveway access easement was originally shown on the east side of the site. So we're asking the developer to clarify the verification of that easement prior to the issuance of the building permit. As part of the site development with this project for phase one, they're providing 4 standard stalls and 1 barrier-free stall, which is based on the need for an industrial use of this type that they're proposing. An on-site septic and well will be proposed for the development since sewer and water are not readily available to the property. So they will be using on-site absorption for septic and for well. Their plans also identify an underground storm holding tank located south of the building. This tank will be utilized to collect the wash water from within the garage area and would be pumped out as needed for treatment. Stormwater management plan is required for the site and is currently under review. The plan has been significantly redesigned to accommodate both the phases of this development and the future phase or future development of the lot to the north. Off-site stormwater easements will be needed and recorded prior to the approval and issuance of building permits for the stormwater facilities. The grades have been designed to generally drain the lot and the northern lot to the north to that new stormwater pond. Site lighting for the development will consist of building lighting, 40-watt LEDs affixed onto the building. Landscaping has been provided along with site landscaping and foundation plantings around the building. No signage is proposed for the development at the time. The architectural building elevations identify the building materials that consist of a light gray metal wall panel for the upper portion of the wall and a black colored 4-foot LP smart side wall panel for the lower portion of the wall. Black trim will be used on the roof lines, and white overhead doors and red pedestrian doors are identified. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. I'll open up to the commission if there's any questions. Commissioner Marischal, yep.
Thank you. I will go on record that last time this plan was in front of the commission, I was the one that suggested it be postponed because we were waiting for information. We have asked for several items throughout the reviews. I have not gotten answers. I have not gotten the information. The plans have not changed. And I haven't gotten any feedback on, well, we really can't do what you're asking for this reason or that reason, or we're asking for a variance for this reason or that reason. So on a lot of things, I'm wondering if we approve this tonight, you know, we haven't seen the plans change to meet code up to this point. If we approve it tonight, what's the motivation to make that happen from the applicant? So I will be voting no to this approval. And again, my staff has 34 comments on the plan, and I have some concerns with various items. I don't want to list them all here unless you guys want to hear them, but I'll be voting no on this one.
So Max, have you called the applicant? I mean, you've called them a couple times or to find out your concerns or?
No. So the process that the city follows is that our Department of Development is the clearinghouse for all site plan applications. It comes to the Department of Development, and then they send it out to various departments in the city. Each department does a review, sends the comments back to DOD. They compile the comments and send it back to the applicant. And then after that, the applicant, you know, sends back their revised plans or explanation on why, well, you're asking this, but really I would like to do that for this reason, that reason. For one example is the driveways. We have driveway width limitations in the city. And sometimes because of truck turning movements, you have to go with a wider driveway. Otherwise, if the road is too narrow, the truck can't really make the turn, so they need more room. And we have done this in the past. We've done it for Quick Trip. We've done it for Badger Packaging on Progress Drive. Or in the South Industrial Park, it's not Progress Drive, but anyway, so there's the whole process, and the process was put in place, I believe, to avoid having people going to a bunch of directions, talking to water's telling them something, talking to engineering telling them something that might contradict what water is doing or is saying, and so I'm following the process. Now, if they do want to call my office and ask for clarification on the comments that we made before they do the plan revision, they can do that, and we will answer and we will respond. But it's not typical for us to reach out. We send the comments out to the OD. We're not doing a second reach out separately by the phone.
So Jim, did that process occur? Did the comments go to the applicant?
Yeah, comments went to the applicant. In fact, I met with them originally right before they resubmitted. I didn't have the comments in front of me, so what we discussed, it looked like everything was addressed, and then I sent the revisions over to engineering for their review, and they came back with those multiple review comments that we had. Some of them ranging from the access to the grades to easements. That's why you had some of the stuff listed out in the memo for, especially some of the clarification of the easements.
So I guess I'm just trying to figure out where did the ball get dropped. So you did get those comments from Max. You did get them over to the applicant. So those final comments, and then the applicant did give you that information, or?
Commentary was received Friday.
Yep. Do you mind jumping up? If you could just state your name and address for us.
Anna Burns, 1516 Hill Road, Greenleaf. I know you don't know where that is. But my name
Sure,
is
it's a
Anna.
wonderful community. Thanks.
It is. The comments were received. We received them on Friday afternoon, as of 3 days ago, prior to the holiday weekend. We scrambled this morning to talk with the lawyer regarding the land easements that were submitted back in March, and then they were returned to Doherty Law Firm. Instead of being transferred over to the planning department, who should have been the ones to receive it. I spoke with Ann, I spoke with Julie, I spoke with Jim, I spoke with Ryan Doherty, and everyone else on the subject today. And in trying to communicate with the engineering department, both back in September as well as recently, I was told that I am not the one who had submitted the stormwater management that was submitted by the civil engineer, as those drawings were provided by him, as well as the reports, and I was not allowed to communicate on the subject.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm going to have to check on that statement about not being allowed to communicate on the subject, because
I'll forward you the email from Emily.
thank you, thank you. Because did you have questions at that point on the
Yes, I did.
stormwater management plan? Okay, then we'll correct that. I'm not aware of that. The other things with the comments that you received on Friday, some of those comments were made, because we're on like iteration number 3, and some of those comments were made at the first review. And a lot of times I encourage my staff to go and write down as previously requested, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I really want this to stand out, because so that we know like iteration number 3 is not the first time you're seeing that comment. So I guess I'm at a loss here when I make a comment on the first review, I don't hear anything, and I get the plan again, and it sounds like to me we're not changing our plan, just approve it as it is, period. So.
In sitting down with Jim, and we had our meeting ahead of time, we were actually going to be asking for an exception regarding the driveway width. We are meeting the code at the property line per the zoning code, 17.3.4. I have an illustration here that shows the existing driveway, which is currently 35 feet at the property line and wider than 60 feet where it touches the road. This is an existing driveway. We're actually downsizing the existing driveway. There's an existing culvert. The culvert starts right at our driveway and continues all the way out until it dies out somewhere by the freeway where the elevation changes. That was installed in 1970. I don't know, I wasn't alive then.
I think Mark is itching to clarify with all of his wisdom.
Saying that
Yeah.
that driveway was created as a kind way of doing it. That development started in the town before it was in the city. That organically occurred over time as needed. So saying that there's an existing driveway there that we're actually reducing, it's like saying we're cutting the frontage in half of that driveway. I mean, that wasn't a design driveway. That just occurred.
Correct.
So in the
Yeah,
end,
I would like to add something too.
Sorry, go on.
So I do not have a problem with allowing wider driveways, like I mentioned before. It's just I have to know what's the reason, and there are, valid reasons to have a wider driveway, and we're willing to work with the applicant on that. I did see the truck turning movement on the last plan, but it was a different driveway design on that sheet than the design on on the other sheets on the plan set. So we have one driveway here, and then for the truck turning movement, we have a different driveway. I don't know which one we're building. So, and then we ask the driveway be designed to meet city standards with the flares, and we keep seeing the radii, and we keep repeating the comment, and it comes back with the radii. And everywhere else, we have them do flares. We just expand the driveway to allow the turning movement. And about the comment on, you touching something, our policy is you bring it to code. If a plumber, electrician is coming to replace your water heater balloon and they realize there's electric wiring that goes through and they need to bring it up to code, they're going to bring it up to code. And so when we have things that are adjusted, we have driveways in the city that are asphalt, the approach is asphalt. If they're going to touch it, modify it, we have them pour it Portland cement concrete because that's the code now. So we're bringing items up to code. And that's what we're asking to see on the plans, because we want, once the plans are out for construction, we're on the same page with the contractor building, whatever they build on the site plan.
Jim, can you please refer to page C4 of the plan?
If you could just keep your comment brief, if you don't mind, because we do have a commissioner who wants to ask a question.
I don't actually have that one in my packet.
Oh, it just happens to show the
displays.
truck turning radiuses and so on and so forth.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that one in our packet.
Commissioner Dolnick, did you have a question?
I've got to go back to the memo. There are 7 different items that all end with prior to issuance of a permit, all types of tasks that must be performed. And I know that sometimes we have certain conditions that are on plans. It's not unusual, but is it unusual to have, is this a unique situation in which there are so many items that must be taken care of prior to issuance of permits?
I would say there's probably 3 of them that are out of the ordinary that are on here. And that would be condition number 7, which would be the shared access that I made mention about. The off-site stormwater management easements. That's another unique one.
And maybe the-
revision for the driveways, that's, somewhat unique with for the driveway flares. But the other ones are all pretty well standard that we have.
So, Max, I understand where you're coming from. Correct me if I'm wrong. The bottom line is they can't really do anything until they get the permits. They're not going to get the permits until they do this. Or what makes this different, that it's the long list of issues that you have waiting unanswered?
Yes. Basically, in the past, we have site plans submitted, we have revisions, we make comments, they revise certain things, we go through, we have other comments, et cetera, but we see some progress and we see things changing, and when there are some items that are minor, in the end, I guess I don't have an issue with saying, okay, if there are minor technical issues, then we're good to approve, and then we'll work it out later, although it's not always easy, let me tell you that. But in this case, I haven't seen, the corrections coming in. And so if they were not coming in through the review process, do we think they're going to come in later?
I mean, Jim, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
gotta,
Yep.
okay, I'm a common sense person, okay? So what would it take if you set up a meeting on Thursday afternoon with Max's department and sit down and discuss it, and then come back next month and say line item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's done? It can't be that hard, right? Instead of, we've been talking about this for months now, and would you mind meeting with Max's department?
I would absolutely be delighted to.
Would it be nice? Set
It
up a
would be
meeting?
awesome.
2 o'clock
Just like
Thursday.
sitting down with Jim.
2
It would be
o'clock
great.
Thursday afternoon with Jim and Max and discuss it. And then we'll come back to next month's meeting and Max says, yep, here we got these 5 things okayed. We're good to go. I mean, you're going around and around here right now. And I think it's pretty simple.
Yes.
I mean, if they can't do it, they can't do it. But if they can,
Yes, and I'm all for that. And
Okay.
like I said, it's just that we were not getting
I got it,
the
but-
feedback. But if we're talking
Let's
with
make a
them,
meeting.
then we'll get the feedback on, I
Good.
can't do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we work around this?
exactly.
And then,
So make a meeting Thursday, 2 o'clock, all handled.
So,
Next
I will
month.
bring my well contractor, septic contractor, plumbing contractor, and everyone else that you've demanded have full calculations.
There you go.
okay. I don't think I ever requested that, but
No, but bring
that
them
would be
along.
good.
It's all on here.
Yeah.
You want
Okay.
all of the design and all of the calculations,
There you
like
go.
we're getting state-approved plans today. I will bring it with me.
Okay, that's good.
Well, we, do,
so,
2 o'clock?
well, we don't need a motion that sets up this meeting.
well, how about I make a motion to table this?
There you go.
Till next month,
Until
after
next
they
month.
meet.
Second.
Yes.
Defer, sorry, it'd be a motion to defer. Yeah, okay. All right, there was a motion. Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Is there any other
I see-
comments, questions, clarifications? All right. Seeing none, then all those in favor of deferring, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And thanks, guys. Thanks for working that out with us. All right. And moving to letter D, extraterritorial certified survey map number 1, XCSM-21-0003, 2-lot extraterritorial certified survey map located at 2164 County Trunk Highway NN. Separate the homestead from the remaining lands by Matt Yogerst. The applicant is Matthew Yogerst of Humble Huts, Inc. The agent is David Leninger of Homeland Surveying, LLC. Jim.
Thank you. This extraterritorial certified survey map is located approximately 25 feet east of the city corporate limits. The purpose of the CSM is to divide the existing house from the remaining vacant lands. The CSM is within the city's sewer service area and the planning area, and is identified as industrial in our 2020 comprehensive plan. The property owner has been working and going through the process with the town to change the land use and the zoning for Lot 1, which is the homestead lot, to residential. and the remaining portions of the land would remain industrial as they're zoned today. Lot 1 is 3.6 acres and contains the existing house. Lot 2 is approximately 9.4 acres and is vacant, but does contain a stormwater pond at the northwest corner that serves the development to the north and east. Lots 1 and 2 each have an access to County Trunk Highway NN, and adequate right-of-way exists for County Trunk Highway NN in accordance with the city's official map. Staff would recommend approval of the CSM, just with the condition that the signature block for the city be revised to replace the chairperson wording with mayor for the signature.
I could be chairperson, well, whatever you want to call me. All right, any questions for Jim? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Model and STARAL. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then last but not least, letter E, extraterritorial final plat, number 1, XFP-21-001, extraterritorial final plat for Green Acres subdivision, a 14 lot and 1 outlot single-family residential subdivision located southwest of Wallace Lake Road and North Trenton Road, southeast of quarter section 6T11NR20E by Dam Properties LLC. The applicant is Dwayne Wallner of Dam Properties, and the agent is Jacob Rosbeck of Quam Engineering. Jim.
Thank you. Green Acres subdivision is located approximately 3/4 of a mile just north of the city. The Plan Commission approved the preliminary plat back in April of this year, and the final plat is consistent with that preliminary plat. The lots vary in size from an acre to 3.29 acres. 66 foot of right-of-way exists for both Wallace Lake Road and North Trenton Road, and 17 foot of right-of-way reservation has been provided for both roads, consistent with the city's official map. The plat also identifies airport height limits, stormwater easements, environmental corridor, wetlands, and floodplain, along with the A&R pipeline easement. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan as presented, the final plat as presented.
Thanks, Jim. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Dolnick and Muddle. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of approving as presented, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And having no further business for the Plan Commission, I'll adjourn by the call of the chair. Have a good night.
You